Now, value can be a subjective thing. Like, say if you value your time, you may skip this video. Okay. And I like to think that I understand the value of things, like my Voigtlander lens that is wide and fast enough to allow me to shoot in natural light and tight spaces that no other lens for my cameras do, so I can make dumb YouTube videos like this one. That was $1,100 and made in a country with labor standards. Okay, so let's see if we can understand the value of knives. How about the $240 Benchmade 941, which is a great made in USA knife. Fast deployment and light. Then the Spyderco Para Military 2, another fine made in USA knife. Both of those are my two favorite pocket knives, or folding knives as they're known today. Both of those knives are in the natural progression of knife buying for people who want perfect everyday carry stuff. So what's next? Well, a week ago I would have said the Sebenza, but since now I'm in the possession of one, let me pronounce it correctly. The Sebenza, or more specifically the large Sebenza 21 carbon fiber variant from knifeart.com. So let's go over the dimensions before I make anyone mad. Like the overall length and weight. Note the weight is about an ounce lighter than the full titanium handled Sebenza 21. The blade length and the cutting edge. The handle size and grip area. Remember, one side of the handle is a slab of carbon fiber. Then the spine thickness and handle thickness. And per subscriber Joe Bob's request, the tallness of it closed. Okay, so let's get into the blade. The Sebenza 21 features a drop point blade with a hollow grind. I recommend watching Blade HQ's Creator Series video where Chris Reeve talks about how hollow his grind is. The blade has a light stonewash finish, which is great for hiding scratches when you take your knife to the beach. And then there's the infamous softness. Now, the knife uses S35VN, which was developed for this knife by Crucible and Chris Reeve to maintain a premium MSRP. Mr. Reeve and all of the internet says it's soft, with an HRC of 59 to 60, which doesn't sound as soft as they make it sound. So I'll just repeat it too, even though 59 to 60 doesn't seem overly soft. Maybe for S35VN. S35VN is said to add niobium to make the edge resistant to chipping over standard S30V. The top of the blade is rounded off, so when you're in the bush with your $450 knife, you might find it harder to strike a ferro rod. But that's what the edge is for, right? Someone's like, unsubscribe! So check out Cold Steel's channel for that, where they show you the correct way to stab a car hood. The handle on the knife art edition of the Sebenza 21 is half made from a solid slab of linerless carbon fiber, like I said earlier, and bead blasted titanium for the other side. No finger crowding for me, and no major hot spots. It is held together by some standoffs, meaning it has an open-backed design. One's anodized blue, titanium, and the other ain't. The handle is a nice size with the finger groove up front and only the nice tight jimping type that I like on the blade spine. It's close to a Spyderco's jimping in texture. Think like an Endura, so it's frictiony but not hot spotty, if we're going to get technical about it. And you're like, this guy really knows his knife terms. The titanium lock covers quite a bit of the tang, so it's solid and strong, and as you can see in a little bit, it is able to take many hard spine whacks. Yeah, that's right. And again, half of it's made out of bead blasted titanium, and that half will pick up pocket wear quick and appears similar to my Benchmade 765 with a two-piece titanium handle too, so it'll look like this soon. The handle's beveled all the way around to make it easier to hold, and at the standoffs, there's a tad of extra meat close to the edges where the screws are. Meat. Deployment. Now you've heard the word Sebenza smooth before, and maybe if Sebenza is your first knife, you may say that, but it's an okay smooth. The pivot has an oversized phosphor bronze washer on either side. One is pretty big, one is a little smaller, and it's smooth through the deployment. but I do have many other knives that are just as smooth and easy or smoother at many varying price points. It isn't a fast deployment either. While it's true you could loosen up the pivots, that just tends to make them loose enough to get looser if you have a tendency to fidget deploy your knives when you're not working, at work. I found it's best to keep them tight like it is from the factory, where deployment is done deliberately with your thumb in a motion like this. It is possible to hit the thumb stud hard enough to deploy it, but not consistently every time. The knife can be ordered with 2 thumb studs or left-handed, but that costs more. The thumb stud is blue and anodized too, so again, if you're looking for a fast deployer, this is not exactly it. The pocket clip is what it is, meaning it's not movable. It has a milled out section where the clip mounts, so it's pretty flush to the handle. It's also bead blasted titanium and has that Spyderco springiness to it. I found some of my higher end blades, like my Southern Grind Spider Monkey, has clips that are way too tight, or like my Benchmade 765 where it has no give, but it looks pretty. Chris Reeve didn't overthink the clip. Mine came tip up, blade forward in my right pocket. So great pocket clip, just not a deep carry pocket clip. Okay, quick comparison time. I said before, earlier in this review, about how I love my PM2 and my Benchmade 941. Those are my favorite, and that did not change with the Sebenza 21. Many people think it's the tolerances and the things you don't notice that makes the Sebenza great. I don't really think I can argue with that point. It's just, that's what they say. And I'm sure at some point if you look over every knife, you're going to notice things that you'd never noticed before if you look at it close enough. My Para Military 2 is probably my most fun to deploy blade, and the thumb ramp and nice comfortable handle are all nice touches. The way you hold it is what works best for this knife. The pocket clip isn't deep carry either, but you can change it around to all 4 positions to suit your needs. Now the 941. The 941, fun to deploy. A nice long cutting edge in the mid 3-inch range. Long enough handle, but mainly it's over an ounce lighter than the Sebenza and pretty slim in the pocket. It's a fine utilitarian blade too. The Sebenza, while an equally well-made knife, doesn't deploy as fast as either one of those, which I guess really ain't a big deal because I used to carry an Endura 4, and now it sort of deploys about as fast as that one. So I kind of feel like there's similar knives in the way you carry them and use them. I know that they look different, but they have a similar feel about them. Now, this is made from all pretty high-end materials and looks nice. I bought it mainly to see where I cease to find value in a production knife, as this knife is discussed endlessly on the internet and often mentioned as the best production everyday carry knife. There's smaller versions, and I decided to go with the larger version because I like larger knives. But that said, I think I finally found my limit as to how much I've paid for a knife versus what I perceive its worth to be in materials and craftsmanship and functionality. Also, as a bonus, it's lighter than my Para Military 2 with a slightly longer blade and cutting edge. Alright, let's beat it up. Now I know with 100% certainty this knife is not designed to do what I'm about to do with it, which is why I'm going to do it. Otherwise known as how to kill the resale value of a Chris Reeve knife. I know. Fixed blade, axe, got it. You can still tell me in the comments if you feel like I just don't get that that's what I'm really supposed to use a fixed blade or an axe for. So let's see how strong the lock is. Baton through this piece of wood like it's something I need to do. I do, actually, for the clicks. So now I'm going to say this before. The detent was strong earlier. You couldn't flick it open by flinging it downward. Now you kind of can. It's not bad, and I can do this with most of my medium end knives anyway. So, it didn't kill the detent, but it didn't help it any. I will say this is now my 3rd favorite knife to carry. It's light and it's well made, fits in the pocket slightly, and I actually like the paracord bead sculpture hanging out the back because it makes it easier to pull out of your pocket. I never thought I would have liked that. And as a side note, out of all this wood beating, the lock did fail one time. Remember in Empire Strikes Back how Luke asked Yoda, "Hey man, what's in the cave?" And then Yoda was like, only what you take with you, man. Well, the 21 isn't exactly like that for me, but it's close if you understand what I'm saying about it. It wasn't the ultimate knife for me, but it was more of a, hey, what's up with the Sebenza? Sorry, Sebenza. And now I know. It's a nice knife, but if I could place a price on it, I don't know, $300. That's my uninformed opinion. I'm not saying that like I'm an expert on its margins or how much it costs to make, but more as in comparing it to how much I like my other made in USA knives to this one. It doesn't offer durability, finer materials, or significantly better ergonomics. Well, maybe a little more durable than those knives. The Knife Art version is more expensive than the standard large 21 because of the carbon fiber. And since I prefer the lightness of the carbon fiber version, saving an ounce for $40 was actually kind of worth it. I also watched a video where Sal from Spyderco talked about the tight tolerances of the Sebenza knives versus just about anyone else's knives. So you pay for that too. Now, after all the beating of the wood, the pivot did loosen up and I got stuck in a piece of wood here. So I had to go get an Allen key to tighten up the pivot so I could smack the blade out. Now, after beating the edge, it was pretty much as perfect as it was earlier. Not quite as sharp, it's still pretty close. And I could still do the shaving arm hair shot, which is the standard test for YouTube videos on sharpness. It didn't damage the carbon fiber or any of the screws either. So although where the lock meets the tang, there was a slight dent from all the hard smacking in the frame lock part, something I only noticed on disassembly. But I feel like my Paramilitary 2 and my 941 would not have fared as well as the Sebenza did. But I did this because there truly is something wrong with me. So if you like this video, subscribe to my channel, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. And if you're one of those handfuls of people who are subscribed to my channel and get the alerts when they're released, so you can give it a thumbs down, well, go ahead and do your part. And feel good because they work the same way as thumbs up in analytics. Thanks for watching.